Thank you guys for being here today. We're very excited to kick off our third iteration of the Product Accelerator for Functional Fabrics. Before we begin, I'd like to take a quick moment to introduce the AFFOA team that's supporting this program. For those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Natasha Spacky. I lead new business development and partnerships here at AFFOA, where I focus on our membership consortium activities, partnership development, and working closely with companies to identify opportunities for collaboration. I'm joined today by Dr. Michael Rain, who is AFFOA's Director of Engineering and oversees our technical team as well as our technical program execution. Many of you will have the chance to work with him and his team during the scoping and consultation phase of the PAFF proposal process. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Dr. Guan Wang. He's our Ecosystem Technology Manager and is a key part of the PAFF leadership team. He's on a well-deserved vacation, so he is not online today, but will be back and ready to connect with any interested parties and answer any PAFF-related questions after his return on December 22nd. With a quick note on webinar logistics before we get kicked off, please remain on mute through the presentation portion of the webinar, but do feel free to introduce yourself and continue chatting using that feature. If you have any logistical questions during this presentation, please connect with Josh Raposa, who's online, as well as Melissa Y. They can help to troubleshoot any Zoom challenges. As we go through, do feel free to share your questions using the Q&A feature. We will answer as many of those questions at the end of the presentation. And lastly, all of the resources that are discussed during this webinar are already available on the member portal and the PAFF opportunity page on AFFOA's website. This webinar is being recorded and will also be posted on the website and portal in the next day or so, and you'll get an email once that webinar is online. So here's a quick agenda for today's webinar. We'll spend the most of our time on part one, where we'll walk through the overall PAFF program, expected deliverables and outputs, PAFF 3.0 specific topic areas, and also share some previous project examples to give you a better sense of the type of project concepts that align well, as well as AFFOA's expertise that can be leveraged. In part two, we'll review the PAFF 3.0 application process and timeline. And then at the end, we'll go over the program's IP policy and the financial commitment expectations from participating companies. So before diving into PAFF, I wanted to provide a quick intro on AFFOA for those who aren't as familiar. AFFOA is a nonprofit. We were founded in 2016 as a Manufacturing USA Innovation Institute. There are 18 Manufacturing USA Innovation Institutes today. Each is a public-private partnership that's focused on a different technology platform area, but all have a common goal to bring manufacturing innovation and expertise back to the US in order to increase US manufacturing competitiveness. So there's an institute focused on bioindustrial manufacturing in Minnesota, for example, another focused on robotics and automation in Pennsylvania, and AFFOA is the institute specifically focused on advanced fibers and fabrics. So our mission is really centered around revitalizing the U.S. textile industrial base and specifically focused on accelerating textile technology and manufacturing breakthroughs to safeguard the nation, advance industry, and improve quality of life. Our efforts support both national security and commercial applications, so we work on a lot of dual use case products and technologies. As a nonprofit, AFFOA does have three primary roles. The first is supporting technology and manufacturing readiness advancement. This is where our technical staff, expertise, and specialized prototyping equipment at headquarters is leveraged to support companies and members to mature and transition their innovations and technologies towards scalable production and commercialization. Our second role is focused on strengthening the domestic supply chain, specifically looking at connectivity and resilience, and ensuring that companies can access and find the U.S. partners and capabilities needed to bring new textile products to market. This is our membership consortium. We refer to it as the Fabric Innovation Network. And this network is made up of that end-to-end supply chain for advanced fiber and fabrics. This includes our academic partners who are focused on earlier stage R&D. We've got startups commercializing new technologies, manufacturers who make up the heart of the network, nonprofits and trade orgs, and out to the consumer-facing brands and defense primes. And our third role is focused on education and workforce development. So as we see these new technologies coming down the pipeline, how can we ensure that we've got a skilled talent workforce that's ready and can not only design and engineer these new products, but also manufacture them at scale here in the US? Our EWD programs today span that K to gray space and focus on inspiring, preparing, and growing that talent pipeline required for that competitive and future-ready textile industry. So our roles and programs, including the PAFF program, are all supported by some key infrastructure and expertise. I mentioned our team and state-of-the-art prototyping facility. We actually just recently moved our headquarters from Cambridge, Massachusetts to a new space up the road in Bedford, Mass. That's where Michael and I are sitting today. Our new headquarters is 18,000 square feet of end-to-end prototyping space with capabilities all the way through that fiber and fabric development. This specialized equipment and infrastructure is complemented by our staff of technical experts who have a wide range of backgrounds in material science, chemistry, mechanical and electrical engineering, and textile technologists with expertise in knitting, weaving, embroidery, digital engineering, and product design. As a result, our core competencies, which you can see on this slide, span that full product development lifecycle for advanced fiber and fabric functional products, from system design and prototyping to textile formation, electronics integration, testing and evaluation, and process engineering, as well as manufacturing scale-up. Our team is also happy to support technology landscaping and supply chain mapping. And our team does have expertise on the education workforce development side, as well as on the consortium management side. I won't spend too much time on it today, but you can see a quick snapshot of our Fabric Innovation Network on this slide. It's made up of more than 145 member companies with capabilities ranging from fiber to cloud. So if you have additional questions about AFFOA generally or membership, I'd be happy to schedule a follow-up call after this webinar. But with that, let's get into the PAFF program. We're very excited to kick off our third iteration. For those who aren't familiar with the program, it's designed to address capability or resource gaps, specifically by facilitating collaboration between AFFOA staff and our industry partners. The goal is to help companies overcome technical hurdles, accelerate development, and move technologies and capabilities closer to manufacturing at scale and commercialization. This initiative is being sponsored by the US government, and so that allows organizations to leverage AFFOA's technical expertise and our facilities at no direct cost to the proposer. PAFF awardees are expected to participate, contributing their own time, materials, or other project-specific expenses as needed, and we expect that those can be captured as cost share as part of the program. PAFF awardees are selected through a competitive two-stage proposal process, and we'll talk more about that later in the webinar. But an ideal PAFF project is one where the collaboration helps the company overcome a key technical challenge, scale beyond that lab prototype, and increase commercial or defense pull for products. A typical period of performance for each PAFF project is about 6 to 12 months, depending on the scope and the complexity of the project being scoped. So who is PAFF for specifically? The PAFF program is really designed to support companies across our ecosystem, specifically startups, manufacturers, and the larger enterprises, all who are working to scale up and commercialize or implement advanced textile products and processes. In order to be competitive for PAFF, a proposer should already have a baseline prototype or proof of concept, and that proposal that they develop should clearly articulate the remaining technical or economic barriers that are preventing that product from reaching the market, as well as identifying how AFFOA's capabilities can help to address those gaps. The program is most suitable for organizations aiming to have commercial-ready product within the next 12 to 24 months, and is not intended for early-stage research or concept exploration. So if we look at technology and manufacturing readiness levels, this slide shows where PAFF is positioned along the TRL and MRL scales. As I mentioned, PAFF is not intended for early stage R&D or concept development, but the sweet spot is between that MRL 5 and 8. So this is where companies need support to move prototypes from prototype to pilot scale or pilot scale to full production. At this stage, teams are typically working on producing components or subsystems in production-relevant environments and are establishing quality control methods or analyzing and strengthening the supply chain. In other words, PAFF is really designed to help transition promising technologies towards manufacturing at scale, supporting both technology development and process development. So this can include pilot line demonstrations, standardization, automation, manufacturing process improvements, as well as supply chain assessments. And this positioning is intentional. The program is meant to accelerate technologies that have real commercial or defense pull and are approaching that scaled production. As it relates to AFFOA capabilities and expertise that can be leveraged via the PAFF program, Michael is going to do a deep dive on some of these capabilities shortly. However, you'll see that the AFFOA team does have expertise and the specialized equipment necessary to support projects spanning the entire product development lifecycle. And we can support both product and process development. Through this program, companies can make use of AFFOA's technical team subject matter expertise, as well as the specialized prototyping and testing and evaluation equipment. We have digital engineering tools, process engineering capabilities, and as well as some advantages into automation and optimizing manufacturing. Beyond technical hands-on work, AFFOA can also provide process consulting to help improve that manufacturability and automation process, as well as support domestic supply chain mapping and connections to capable scale-up partners here in the US. So when you're thinking about whether your concept is a good fit for PAFF, it is helpful to understand some of the ideal attributes. These include having a product or process that is near commercialization and needs targeted support to overcome those final manufacturability or commercialization hurdles. It includes developing a proposal that clearly describes the technical assistance needed, as well as how AFFOA's capabilities can support addressing your development needs. We'd like to see an articulated market demand and need with customer pull, as well as product differentiation. And the proposal should include well-defined development milestones for the product, as well as a clear IP management and cost share financial commitment plan. You can find all of this information, as well as the evaluation rubric, specific proposal requirements, and a full list of AFFOA's technical capabilities in the PAFF 3.0 guidebook, which is already available on the website and the portal. So before we jump into 3.0 topics, I did want to share a few examples of previous PAFF projects as a reference point. I won't go into any of these in too much detail, but you can see that projects have ranged from supporting a startup called Z Polymers, prototyping woven samples of their novel advanced liquid crystal polymer fiber, which was used to support customer validation and helping to identify and connect them with domestic weaving partners to support future scale-up efforts. We partnered with Nareem and PAFF 2.0 to advance their non-wearable textile-based sleep monitoring system, developing functional prototypes that are currently being tested and validated in clinical trials. We've supported Lumia's launch of their next-generation extreme cold weather heating platform, developing technical data packages needed to support adoption and sales. And we've also supported DCS, helping to move their e-textile cable that's being used for DoD applications closer to commercialization by helping to evaluate and identify manufacturing assembly process improvements and helping to scout supply chain transition pathways. These examples really help to illustrate the range of challenges and project types that have been addressed via the PAFF program so far. You can see that it ranges from material development to prototyping, testing and evaluation, all the way through to manufacturing optimization. So with that, I will pass the proverbial mic to Michael, and he'll be able to share some more information about PAFF 3.0 topics.
Thank you, Natasha, and thank you everyone who is attending this call. My goal is to share with you the topics of the PAFF 3.0, as well as to give you some ideas or examples of potential products or projects that can excite you and for you guys to submit compelling proposals. So this year, the PAFF 3.0 topic areas have been expanded and include 4 big topics. The first one is digital manufacturing and digital engineering, so spanning topics that can support your digital transformation or digital products. Textile manufacturing automation, so process automation for fabric, fiber, or a garment, or final product creation. Support for manufacturing scale-up. If you have a process that you are looking to scale up, we can provide support, as well as progressing the technology readiness level and the manufacturing readiness level of advanced fibers and fabrics, which is more typical to what we may have done in previous PAFF polls. So in general, this is on the right-hand side, you can see AFFOA's services that are available through PAFF. And this is just an initial list of our current capabilities that you can leverage for the PAFF program. We have textile and electronic product design expertise supported by materials engineers, electrical engineers, textile designers, and textile technologists can actually do a prototype, do cut and sew. Design for manufacturing expertise, so how to translate the design to be manufacturable at a facility that can produce your product at large quantities. Digital engineering support, so it could be how to create digital creation or simulation of your product materials libraries, which we'll dive in a few slides. Application of our thermally drawn fiber are in scope. Electronic system design, development, and analysis for a system that is built on a textile or a textile substrate. Prototyping, so creation of fibers, textiles through weaving, knitting, embroidery, as well as creation of integrated systems. Resources available for testing and evaluation for textile materials and e-textile materials, as well as performance of failure analysis, if relevant. Process engineering and automated manufacturing support on your lines. Supply chain identification and support, connecting domestic manufacturers to product companies, as well as providing support to successfully transition the development, as well as workforce training support on these topics. The expected awards, it's currently we are expecting to have up to 4 projects, but of course it will depend on the proposals that we receive and the funding availability. On the next slides, I will dive into specific examples of projects that we ran or have been working in each of these topic areas, as well as provide some examples or project concepts that we just thought internally. Of course, this is not an exclusive or exhaustive list, and we are welcome you guys to think what will be relevant for your application. So specifically on topic area 1, on digital manufacturing and engineering, AFFOA has developed capabilities in-house to offer expertise to our ecosystem, to our members, in digital product creation tools such as CLO, Browser, and SETI, which we have internally and we can leverage to design and simulate products. We have tools and capability to perform fabric digitalization, so do some physical analysis as well as texture maps for rendering to input into a tool that can be used to, again, model the product. Electronic design automation tools, as well as digital fabrication tools. So we have the software, and we can also work with on our tools for knitting, weaving, embroidery, and cut and sew. Potential PAFF 3.0 project concepts, just an initial list on this topic could be development of digital tools and process flows for your specific needs, implementation of PLM, of CAD and CAM tools, computerized design for simulation and manufacturing, adaptation and development of digital engineering tools for your specific utilization, product modeling, design and analysis, as well as if you have any workforce training needs, we can also provide that support for digital tool implementation. The next slides will focus on a few projects that can just, make you familiar with the knowledge that we have. This is an initial project that we have completed for outlining a roadmap for digital integration. So we have established key infrastructural elements that are required to modernize the textile design and manufacturing operation. And we are in control and have some tools available in order to try it out. So we can support you in your digital engineering journey, and it can support you with material and component library building. So for your specific materials that you can then leverage either internally or to communicate to your stakeholders throughout the supply chain in order to promote this digital transformation. We can help you develop design rules for textile processes that you can, again, use internally or communicate it to your contract manufacturer. We can work with you on standard input for materials and develop data sheets, as well as standardized test methods that are relevant for digital engineering and relevant to your application. An example for project that we are currently working on through the USDA funding with the member company Kepler is to design a new BSL-4 suit. This is a suit that is a positive pressure suit that is used in high risk environments in labs that work with highly dangerous pathogens. So we actually used our digital engineering tools to quickly help us on iteration on the design. So on the left-hand side, you can see the suit. One of the suit designs that we have worked with Kepler to produce. And actually, we found the tools that we use also useful for design communication. So For example, if you are making a design in a tool like Gerber or Produce Markers, it's sometimes when the product is complex, it's hard to visualize it. So these tools first can help you do that, to communicate what you're trying to do to your stakeholders, to customers, etc. But also, you can use these designs to run simulation in order to identify issues with the design. And in this case, we actually done that here to illustrate here the person that is wearing the suit is performing some actions that are needed in the lab. And you can see on the left-hand side, there's a pressure map or strain map, actually, in this case, that shows like high strain areas in the particular locations because of the way the suit is constructed. And on the right-hand side, the version 4 is an improvement on that. You see reduction of strain, and this has been just done by changing the pattern. On the right-hand side is the same example that you can see that improvement on the comfort of fit. In this case, it's the visor that is getting into the face of the user. And by changing quickly the design, you can improve on that without actually producing multiple prototypes. So this tool helps you, or this approach helps you to reduce the number of iterations, reduce the number of physical prototype that you need to produce in order to get to a final design. So think about if you have any product needs in this space, these tools could be leveraged to help you with decreasing the number of iterations and get you to the final product that you need. All right, switching gears to our topic area 2. This is a new topic area that AFFOA is developing expertise in, which is focusing on textile manufacturing automation. We have developed capabilities to offer expertise in specifically design for manufacturing and design for automation. Some people call it VFX because it's designed for a process. And this key element is important in order for you to implement successfully automation or successfully manufacture a product in high volume. We have expertise in automation tools and equipment identification and evaluation. Expertise in business case modeling, which is critical if you do want to invest into equipment for automation, as well as digital tool implementation for automation. So marrying the tools that you have seen in the previous topic area for automation specifically. Some ideas that may be relevant for PAFF proposal is automation tool identification, help with standardization of textile manufacturing processes, in order for them to implement automation opportunities, quality control tools implementation, digital tool implementation for manufacturing automation, as well as domestic automation solution partner identification. We can also support you with product design for automation manufacturing, again, design for manufacturing concepts. We do run a few current projects with the Army to looking, for example, into their opportunities to standardize designs as well, and then identify automation opportunities there. So we would like to see if there's any commercial opportunities or products that you need that can benefit from such an analysis. And in addition, this is another project that we would like to share with you as a project that we have been working on through our Manufacturing USA office sponsorship with our sister institute ARM, which is our robotic institute, and some multiple members, Henderson, Sobo, Siemens, Ready One, as well as Carnegie Mellon. And this specific project addressed disruptions in the textile production supply chains in order to support due to crippling shortages of critical products that happened during 2020. So our approach here, together with our partner, was to develop an automated mobile production line for PPE that can be delivered to the point of need, increasing access to products where they are critically needed. And we have demonstrated it recently successfully. Development of these lines, they're all in the container lines, been deployed in the Ready One facilities, and now they're available to produce fully automated mobile production lines, specifically for surgical masks and cloth masks. And we have supported this effort by developing product designs and equipment with automated production in mind. So that can allow you to actually successfully make it in these environments, as well as help to validate product performance that is conforming to regulations. As well as we'll be happy to think with you how you can benefit from automating your manufacturing processes and connect you to our member organizations that work in this space. On the third topic, we are focusing on the manufacturing scale-up process. So here we have capabilities in-house that we can offer expertise in thermal draw fiber production. This is equipment that we have currently in our HQ, as well as on more traditional and non-traditional textile creation processes. So fiber spinning, winding, twisting, weaving, kneading, embroidery, materials and processes, characterization and testing are all available. We have experience that ranges from lab scale to pilot scale to full production scale up and their needs, and our team can support this transition as you scale up your processes, as well as process characterization, the design of experiments, equipment specifications, procurement, and support with installation. Concepts, of course, again, they can be from process development and the risking of processes for your manufacturing scale-up needs, support with design for manufacturing, which is relevant for here as well as you scale up your processes, as well as domestic supply chain partner identification. And we have quite a bit of examples in the space that we have supported our members. This is one of them, Open Manufacturing in Maine, which we worked with to enable high-temperature fabric manufacturing scale-up. They have a new material that they are currently in the process of commercializing. It's an aerospace-grade silica fabric, and they have developed this process, but ran into issues with having it made consistently. So our team has worked with AMI to develop the process, identify equipment that they need in order to have their process be consistent and produce quality product, as well as supporting them with process characterization and automation of the process in tensioning, as well as in feeding the material. So the outcome was pretty significant. We installed and qualified a high-temperature furnace with them. We developed process parameters to meet the material needs, two specifications with enable tensioning system. So in the end, they have a full production of commercial silica products with our support. They have a nimble team with deep expertise in silica material, and they have definitely benefited quite a bit from our process engineering capabilities, and now are able to sell this product. Another company that you may have seen when Natasha has mentioned our work with Z Polymers. So we had a few engagements with Z Polymer to enable their new Tulamer yarn production. And this specific project, this is our PAFF 2.0 project. We have worked with Z Polymer to identify and qualify domestic weaving fabric manufacturers. So connecting them to domestic manufacturers that can take their material and weave it successfully, so they can produce fabrics for their customers. So here the approach was to both develop the process the manufacturers can accommodate their lines together with Z Polymers, but also identify supply chain partners, connect them to them, make sure that they can talk to each other, and support with technology transition with what we're able to prototype here internally at AFFOA. So in the outcome, we think it's also significant here. We were able to first communicate their development and help with communication by developing specifications sheets and data sheets. We identified, qualified domestic textile manufacturers for them to transition their technology, as well as created an opportunity for domestic textile manufacturers to work with innovative materials. The other example in this space is our work. Also, it's a PAFF project with DCS. They have a design for a novel product that they're looking to commercialize as well, which is a Net Warrior e-textile cable design. Net Warrior is the Army system for communication and how to transfer power and data. And they have been currently using pretty rigid cables. And DCS have come up with an approach to have an e-textile solutions for data and power transfer. What AFFOA has been able to do is to work with a DCS to improve and reduce the complexity and cost of production of these e-textile cables by refining the product design. So what we've done is examine the labor-intensive cut and sew process for assembling and to provide solutions for a simplified assembly in order to make it more attractive to potential customers like PO Soldier. Examine the material supply chain to identify alternatives for materials as well as for other components, as well as identify domestic cut and sew manufacturers can transition the cable to low rate initial production. So work closely with the manufacturer to make sure that they can produce the optimized design, as well as to understand what will it take to get there to build the business case and models that shows viability. So we successfully demonstrated solutions for simplifications of the construction process, lower the materials cost, the construction cost, as well as validated with a manufacturer that can actually make these products. So the overall outcome is that we position domestic cut and sew partners to be able to produce these innovation in the US. And we looking forward to see this product go into production soon. Our fourth and last topic area is our advancement of the readiness level of technologies that are being developed in the advanced fiber and fabric space. And AFFOA has quite a bit of expertise there. We already talked about or mentioned at least our multi-material fiber. So we have developed and demonstrated ability to integrate devices into fibers like LEDs, photodiodes, RFID chips, IMUs, as well as to design power and data buses, as well as continuous fiber sensing modalities that you can leverage if they're on higher TRL and MRL level. And if you find any potential application to them, we'll be happy to explore it with you, as well as capabilities in fiber and yarn formation, twisting, coding, weaving, knitting, and embroidery for fabric formation, prototype manufacturing. We have a team that is able to construct garments, construct e-textile garments through cut and sew, as well as transition it to our domestic or our ecosystem of manufacturers that can actually make the product in the US. To supplement that, we also have capabilities to perform component product testing to ensure that the durability of the products that you are designing is good. Potential project concepts, there's definitely a lot of ideas that we can generate there, but we want to hear your ideas. But think about how to leverage our thermal drone fibers production, and if you have any scale-up support for that need, textile, yarn, and fabric formation, electronics development, including access to some elements that we have built that you can leverage, such as the Universal Development Platform, which we'll talk in a few minutes. This is our e-textile Arduino that you can leverage in order to build e-textile products without the need to invest into the electronic hardware and firmware development significantly, as well as if you have any heating systems, you can leverage our closed-loop heating platform for a product that you are interested in building. We have a prototype production and access to materials libraries that you can leverage, as well as component and product testing needed, as well as failure analysis if relevant to your application. A few examples there, again, related to our PAFF performers. Again, this is work that we have done with Z polymers to help them find ways to successfully integrate their yarns into typical production processes. And in this case, this is development that we have helped Z Polymer to do for sizing and finish application on their yarns in order to survive the weaving process. So our team has determined the relevant lubricants as well as finishing materials to perform inline coating of their yarns. So we've worked on process development engineering, textile formation on the yarn coating process, and developed successfully this process internally. We have coated their yarns and performed quite a bit of testing on the weaving side. We've been able to measure the coating thickness, evaluate the performance in actual production, and kind of communicate. And Z Polymer was able to use this information to take it further to successfully integrate their materials down their supply chain in weaving and other formation applications. Another project that we have worked in the past with our partner organization, Bethel Industry, is a heated product. So we had a heated arm warmer that we have designed, and we advance its manufacturing readiness level by partnering with Bethel Industries. So this is an example of how our team can support to improve your design for manufacturing for your product, as well as work with manufacturers to improve the outcome, reduce costs, reduce the complexity. So in this case, we partnered with Bethel Industry to redesign the original design of the arm warmer that we had, as well as work with them to produce or have low rate production of our prototype. So we found that this activity is very, very insightful and useful in order to make sure that your product is manufacturable. So we can support you in analyzing the designs, working with the manufacturer of your choice in order to perform this analysis, update the product prototype, design the associated TDPs, review the bill of materials, and to review the business case or production costs in relevant production. Our last example on this space is another project that is focusing on our collaboration with a startup organization, Python. In this case, we were partnered with them together to develop a soft textile sensing system for recovery, for MKSI, injury recovery and monitoring in PT settings. So they have a very unique capabilities to record EMG signals, to track the activity of your muscles. But before working with us, their solution was not very user-friendly. It required putting rigid components on straps and connecting it to the body. So we partnered with them to integrate their solution, their electronics, into a soft textile enclosure, and we call it CAFF. So basically, it's a cuff that you put on your leg, and we're able to obtain EMG distributed sensing to collect information from different points in your body, successfully collect and amplify the signal, as well as connect to their data processing system to develop these product prototypes. So our team has constructed about 10 prototypes that are shown here on the right-hand side. We've been able to validate its performance, manufactured with the production here in-house. There's no hand stitching, all automated, and they're currently evaluated by the US Army in their studies on soldiers on effectiveness. So again, if you have product ideas in this space, we'll be happy to help you make it a reality in a commercial-looking prototype. The slide shows the resources that are available to leverage that were sponsored on past projects that you can leverage when working with us. It spans from material libraries and data sheets that we can use to select different materials, so textile conductors, encapsulants, connectors, joints, heaters, thermal insulators, and thermal reflectors. And we can share these with you. We can share its performance and help you select the right materials for your application. You will have access to our universal development platform. So it's a self-system integration ready electrical hardware and firmware platform that we have designed. And we can work with you to design for your specific needs. And this is basically, if you need an Arduino that it works in textiles, this is the good-to-go system. The closed loop heater control platform, it's kind of similar to the UDP, but it specifically can be leveraged for heated platforms, and it's basically used to have a closed loop control of heated systems in order to increase efficiency and reduce power consumption. With that, I would like to conclude my part of the presentation. Again, I know it's a lot of information. We have quite a bit of capabilities here at HQ. These slides will be available for you to review, as well as you are welcome to schedule consultations with us or office hours, and Natasha will provide additional information going forward in the next slides. But we're happy to meet with you and kind of go into more detail on things that you are interested in and may be very useful for you when you write your proposals. Thank you. Back to you, Natasha.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. All right, so moving on to part two, we're going to walk through some of the timeline and application process details. So when we jump into the timeline and proposal process, this slide shows that full timeline from launch to contract execution. After today's webinar, the next major milestone is the pre-proposal submission, which is due on February 15th, 2026. As Michael mentioned, to support companies during this period, AFFOA is holding office hours from January 1st to February 1st, where any interested company can schedule a 20-minute call with the PAFF team to discuss potential project concepts, ideas, fit, and alignment with AFFOA headquarter capabilities, and answer any open remaining questions about the program. After we review the pre-proposals, AFFOA and our government partners will help to down select finalists by March 1st, and then all finalists will be expected to submit their final proposal by that April 15th deadline. Between the finalist notification and proposal due date, all finalists must schedule consultations with the AFFOA technical team. And this is where we collaborate with proposers to define that technical scope of work to be performed by AFFOA. As part of that consultation process, the AFFOA team will develop the budget estimate, and that'll be based on the agreed upon scope of work. We will also share the standard terms and conditions with finalists during this part of the process, and any requested T&C changes and modifications definitely need to be included as part of the final proposal. These consultations are really meant to ensure that proposed work aligns with the PAFF objectives, sets clear expectations from both sides, and then helps to improve that contracting process once awardees are selected. I mentioned final proposals are due on the 15th of April, and those will be followed by award notifications shortly after on April 30th. So once awards are issued, we are hoping to have things contracted and executed within 30 days. So by June 1st, we should have all contracts executed. If we can't agree to terms before June 1st, the award may need to be withdrawn in order for AFFOA to continue to meet our PAFF execution schedule. As it relates to PAFF program resources, proposal information, and other requirements, all of that can be found on the member portal and website, as I mentioned. This slide includes a list of resources and documents that are already available to proposers. It includes a guidebook, which has all of the proposal requirements and guidance. It includes the evaluation rubric, details on AFFOA's technical expertise, as well as templates for both the pre-proposal and final proposal. It also includes links to the forms to request those office hour meetings and to submit any additional questions that you have throughout the process. We do have an FAQ document online, and that will be continuously updated as we receive questions about the program. So we would encourage all interested companies to review these materials as early as possible to help you understand program expectations and the proposal process. So moving into our final section, looking at intellectual property and financial commitment expectations. As it relates to IP, any work funded through the PAFF that does generate foreground IP will carry government purpose rights. So this means that the US government does receive a license to use that IP for government purposes. However, the inventor does retain ownership. The second note is that inventors maintain ownership of both background and foreground IP. As part of the PAFF proposal, we do ask that proposers clearly describe any background IP that is relevant to the project and indicate whether or not you're willing to share or make that background IP available under reasonable business terms if it's needed for project success. The third is building off of that. We're asking proposers to include an IP management plan in their pre-proposal, and this should describe how IP is identified, protected, and shared, and how it'll be used in collaboration with the AFFOA. Ultimately, we expect that IP ownership terms between proposers and AFFOA are discussed and aligned upon before the final proposal submission. Lastly, any generated foreground IP is subject to AFFOA's Made in USA commitment. This means that any subject invention or products that are manufactured using that invention should be produced substantially in the United States. PAFF will support and prioritize organizations that are willing to share information in support of strengthening that domestic textile manufacturing ecosystem. I will note that not all projects result in foreground IP being developed, but the policies listed on this slide are really there to help ensure that innovations developed through the PAFF, if any, are protecting both the inventor's rights as well as supporting US manufacturing. As it relates to financial commitment expectations, AFFOA's PAFF program is really designed to help build long-term relationships and partnerships with our member companies. So PAFF 3.0 is targeting one-to-one federal cost share from awardees. This means that companies are expected to contribute effort or resources equivalent to that federal investment. This cost share can include labor, materials, or equipment being used, other activities that are directly supporting the PAFF project. And we expect that cost share can be documented and reported through an SF 425. Outside of cost share, there are other ways that companies can demonstrate intended financial partnership with AFFOA as part of this program. This slide includes a couple of example options. These are also included in the guidebook as well, and highlight some previous PAFF project agreements with companies. They include revenue share, IP licensing agreements, as well as opportunities for future collaboration. This is where companies indicate their intent to continue working with AFFOA beyond the PAFF program, either through internal or externally funded mechanisms, fee-for-service activities, or future commercialization efforts. So these are all financial pathways that are meant to ensure that that PAFF-supported technology has a strong path to market and that the collaboration between AFFOA and our participating companies extends beyond the scope of that initial project. Lastly, just sharing a few additional details around budgeting and other PAFF project logistics. I mentioned briefly during the application process slide, but just wanted to reiterate that proposers are not expected to submit a budget as part of the pre-proposal process. Budget development will occur during the consultation phase with finalists. So AFFOA will work directly with each finalist to define the scope and build an appropriate budget that will be submitted as part of the final proposal. Please note that AFFOA membership is required to participate if you are awarded a PAFF project. However, it is not required to submit a proposal. So membership can be finalized once a project is selected for award. And then lastly, PAFF projects do follow a structured timeline. Typical period of performance for a PAFF project is 6 to 12 months, and we expect that our projects will get kicked off in Q2 of 2026 with an expected commercialization window of 12 to 24 months after project completion. As part of PAFF program execution, AFFOA does set up regular meetings with PAFF awardees to ensure continued progress and alignment. We intend to have an opportunity for PAFF 3.0 awardees to highlight program process and progress and showcase your capabilities and technologies at our 2026 Advanced Functional Fabric Summit. So we hope that awarded teams will be able to attend and participate in that event in September. And then finally, the PAFF program is funded by the US government, and so there are several required reporting elements. AFFOA is going to take the lead on preparing all of those required program reports, but we do expect input and sometimes need support from PAFF awardees to finalize those reports. So with that, I know we just shared a lot of information. I hope that this webinar has provided you with a better understanding of the PAFF program in general, opportunities to leverage AFFOA's expertise and support your product and process development, and the general PAFF proposal process and requirements. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can now. However, if there are additional questions after the webinar, please feel free to submit them via the PAFF questionnaire and the form online, or email paff@affoa.org. We'll do our best to respond very promptly, but we will continuously update that FAQ document as well. And then lastly, we mentioned a few times those open office hours, so please feel free to submit a request to set up open office hour meeting using the form online, or you can access it via affoa.org/paff_meet. All of this information is available on the website, and we look forward to answering any questions that you might have. So we'll take questions. Melissa, any questions from the chat? Or feel free to unmute and ask away.
Absolutely. We have one question that asks is if there is a maximum award amount. Great
question. Melissa, do you want to provide your perspective on that?
Absolutely. So with these projects, it is assessing based off of each of the proposers in the consultation that we have during that final proposal stage. So we do ask each of our proposers to take into consideration the level of effort. Typically, the level of effort is equivalent to around $250K per awardee, but it is dependent on the quality and quantity of our proposals that we receive, where we see the greatest value with input from our government sponsors for the award of the PAFF awardees. And then we also have another question of what is required for the pre-proposal?
Yes.
Is there a template?
Yeah, good question. So there is a template. It is available online. It's a very short document that we're requesting, 3 to 5 pages to help us understand the market demand pull, what your product is, technical gaps, etc. And then there's a 1-page slide summary that is a brief overview of the project proposed as well. But that is available online.
And I will put that right in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
For a direct link.
Just to jump in real quick, for those who would like to access this information on the website, the URL is affoa.org/paff, PAFF. Thanks.
Just add that to the chat as well. Any other questions? I saw Melissa, it looks like, answered most questions via the chat or the Q&A feature, so thank you so much for doing that. For any remaining questions, feel free to jump off mute and ask away. If there aren't any additional questions, as we mentioned, we are available, paff@affoa.org. I think you should have all of our email addresses, but we also have forms online to make sure we can capture any questions that come through. We'll make sure to update that FAQ document. But we're very excited about this next iteration of the Product Accelerator for Functional Fabrics, and we look forward to engaging many of you in this process.